After a short scare there with Arthalon falling off of his chair, TBD is going to be up and ready to go. Short pause at the start, but we're in and running the skin war. Oh no, I'm changed my mind. I'm giving it to TBD because I'm still fighting against the heels on Officer Vi. I can't do it, and plus it's the correct Akali skin. Their Blood Moon Akali. I wish the weapons looked a little different because they look a little cheesy, but I can live with it. Plus Crimson Elite Riven, just too good.
I don't know. Crimson Akali's my favorite. Reminds me of Taki from Soul Calibur, so I'm all over that.
That's just
But Lil Invade here. It's
Oh,
like
makes
God.
it-
It's great though. Godshu, is he going to recall in that bush? He saw them pass by.
He was thinking about it.
Always going to pass them in ward.
30 seconds until minions spawn.
It's still got plenty of time to get out of there. TBD in enemy jungle. And they are not going to get spotted. Blue pings in the area.
That was
Red
close.
ping forward. Yeah, do they have a ward down in the bush? No. Wraith Bush gets warded up there by TBD. The division going to be good into enemy bottom side jungle.
Minions have spawned.
And TBD just going to hang around, see if they can't pick themselves up some goodies. Going to go 4 strong onto it from the looks of it. Possible invade here up top. Only Vi there, though. They are collapsing toward it. And the lane swap looks like vVv going to get it this time. TBD sending the AD carry support combo down bottom, and looks like they just want to have an easy time of it. Maybe thinking they were going to get the lane swap, trying to counter it. One way or another, it's going to be a 2v1 lane.
Yep, West Rice on that Akali, and that's one of those things that he's been playing for a long time, known for his Akali play. And this composition reminds me of a composition I saw over in the OGN a while ago, back in like the middle of Season 3, with Akali top and then Lee Sin in the middle, and basically an assassin type character in the mid. And it's just so great because if Akali goes in, Lee Sin can safeguard to her and basically close that distance instead of having to land a resonating strike. So it's really going to help him out there, and it's going to be a lot of all-in here from the side of TBD.
Indeed. So, I mean, it's one of those things. We saw it yesterday, and we were talking about a little bit during the break there. The sort of retreat into a loss thing that Quantic ended up in, and I think it was Game 2 yesterday of their 3-game run to the Sadness Barge. And it made me super sad to see. In this case, TBD have set themselves up with a team they know they have to go on. There's really no other option here. Because, you know, if Akali jumps, everybody else has got to be in on the back of it, or Akali dies unceremoniously, you end up in a bunch of 4v5 fights. And TBD, an aggressive team as well. I mean, you can't argue that West Rice is not an aggressive top laner. We even talked about it before. He was playing Renekton and didn't really want to do the farm. Did end up doing the farm in one of their games yesterday.
Yeah, 3v1's coming in.
Gonna hop onto it, get snuggled, running a little bit low. Tower shot's gonna be tanked out. Good trading there. First blood gonna go over to Broken Shard. Roberto X Lee runs low, but nobody else in the area for vVv as they go 3 strong up top. Porpoise Pops and Godshu doing the distracting off to the side. Westrice gonna flash over, gets the shroud down. Godshu actually running really low there. Porpoise Pops tanking some turret shots, really nicely handled by Westrice up top.
Yeah, that Twilight Shroud doing a lot of work there, making them lose the vision on him and not able to continue the assault. And they get a turret for nothing so far, and a first blood in the hands of TBD.
Oh, very early turret indeed. Shroud going to come down. Porpoise Pop's going to take 2 shots as that turret just didn't want to let it go. Godshu running low. Westrice thinking about it. Besides, he's only level 3. Doesn't quite have the juice to take care of that, but is going to finally have to give it away up top. Can't take another shot, but he is delayed for an extremely long time there. Gets snuggled back onto the lane, but still, TBD 3 strong at the bottom, and looking at a second turret here. Things could be getting pear-shaped for vVv real quick. They're going to stun up, get snuggled, and trying to get some work done on him. Cheese Beluga teleports down. Flash over the wall, Bubba Dub's out clean.
And Arthalon came up top.
Nicely done there. Good rotations by TBD.
Exactly. Came up top, scared them off. They had almost no damage onto that turret. It's not even below half HP. And down bottom, they got that tier 2 down to half HP for TBD. They are just pushing like madmen right now. This is the aggression that I was talking about. And they really turned the aggression from vVv around. He's like, Westride's like, you want to dive me? I'm going to Twilight Shroud multiple times. And the turret was basically doing all the damage for him. He's just sitting there in it.
And I gotta say, this is an absolutely crucial game for vVv, who's sitting 1 and 2. If they lose here, it's all but just locked that TBD is going to be moving on, as vVv will go to 3 losses. The best they'd be able to do at that point is 2 and 3. And then we'd have 2 teams sitting at least, they'd both be 3 and 1. TBD and COG would be at 3 and 1. With 1 other game left to play per team today, the worst they could do is 3 and 2. Mm-hmm. So vVv with a little bit of a big need to get in on this one. Broken Shard going to come in, whiffs a very short-range Q, and Cheese Beluga will live as a result. They do get the flash out of him, however, so a return trip to mid lane could pay dividends in a couple of minutes. Right now, just about a 1k gold lead for TBD, with West Rice still working that top lane by himself and not having too much trouble of it, but Tails just auto-attacking away up there, and probably not long for the world, that top outer turret.
Yeah, and in terms of CS count right now, Arthalon's beating Cheese Beluga, which is no surprise early on. Riven doesn't have to spend mana because she doesn't have any, just relies on those cooldowns, goes all in on Cheese Beluga, who's a melee character, and has to spend mana to CS in the same way. Dragon going to get taken by TBD. Very early, 1.6k gold lead, 6-minute mark.
And again, we've seen Cheese Beluga. I think it was Cheese Beluga. Was he playing Cassidy early on in the weekend?
Yes, he was.
We've seen Cheese Beluga start out slow and pick up kills once the team fights get rolling, or once picks get rolling, a couple of 2v3s, things like that. He'll come in, do a little bit of mopping up, get himself right back in the game. So no reason to count him out. But again, this time they do have West Rice. He's been in a 2v1 lane, still up to 24 CS, so not really tailing too far behind the mid lane, as the CS numbers fairly low here early on in the game. And West Rice is going to be a very, very good answer to Cassidy, assuming it gets to that point. But right now, the global gold really going to be helping out. First blood grabbed. They've got a turret, and they got to pick up onto Dragon now. TBD in extremely good shape in the early part of this game.
There's a rotation here. Cheese Beluga trying to come up top. West Rice sees it. He's waiting for Broken Shard to come around.
Gonna go ahead and start it up. Godshoe on the way in, but Cheese Beluga already run fairly low. Broken Shard gets in. Tails now possibly going to be in trouble. Godshoe slowing West Rice down to the backside of the fight. Arthalon in now. Going to pop the ult. Comes moving in. Trying to chase it down. No hope for Cheese Beluga. Down he goes. West Rice under attack. He's not going to make it off, but picks up Tails. Gets the 1-for-1, forces the trade. Godshoe now with a really awkward dance. Bubba in just to make sure he doesn't go notewards. Going to pick up the kill for himself, and all of a sudden a 3k gold lead for TBD.
And I guess the silver lining on that one for vVv is that Porpoise Pops picked up the red while they were doing that. Not a big victory, but
and Tails got a kill. Double silver lining, which basically makes it silver plated. So not too bad there for vVv, but they are definitely in trouble. 3k gold down at the 8-minute mark. Still, vVv, very tenacious play. The one win they've got in this round robin was a very steep comeback. They've suffered some comeback losses of their own. So, I mean, the turnaround potential here in 3.14, pretty much exactly where Riot wants it. We've seen a lot of comeback plays here. vVv not to be counted out, even though they're in very, very rough shape early on. The long game is something to keep an eye on.
Yeah, 2.5k gold lead means almost nothing right now, but it really depends on if TBD can snowball this lead, because they have a team that really relies on that. If they aren't this far ahead, like if this game was going even at around the 9-minute mark, which it's hitting, then the game would really be in vVv's favor. Having a Cassidy who's all about that late game, all about that ramp up, whereas an Akali, if she gets shut down early, which she's been having a great game, he's been staying up in CS compared to get snuggled, who once again is doing what I think Mega Zero was doing yesterday with the barrier ignite and no escapes, but still having great early game. And West Rice on Cheese Beluga.
And that is the danger of West Rice getting any gold at all. He's sitting 41 CS 111, comes in on Cheese Beluga and eats a third of his health right on up. Arthalon going to take over the top lane duties, a little bit beefier, and going to work it there as they'll make everything a little bit more awkward in the mid lane. If they can. Get Snuggled comes walking through. Going to send some briefcases out.
So it looks like
possibly still got Cheese Beluga hanging out.
Yeah, up top, Broken Shard coming up. No ward in that bush.
Low. Will they get there in time? The minions probably going to finish that one off. Tails goes on the run. And Godshoe ult going to be good. The Q misses wide down underneath Tails. Broken Shard goes low. Arthalon as well. And with no turret to retreat to, they're going to back it on up.
There's good kiting there by Tails. Having to use his flash, though. Arthalon's not up to actually counter that. And something I wanted to touch on is we look at the build that Westrice is bringing to the table. I think he's going to go for a Hextech Gunblade. Because he's got the revolver, and he's got a longsword that'll probably turn into the Bilgewater Cutlass. And then he'll turn that into the big explosion type build from Akali, where you just use the active and all-in somebody to get a reset on your R. Because it gives you another charge of your Shadow Dance when you kill or get an assist.
So lets it really go hoppy and boppy all around the field.
That's just the best. Yeah. It really is.
When
Makes
you
you feel so good.
Kill, bop, kill. And if it happens, I mean, Westrice getting big means that the mid game is basically going to be untenable for vVv. It's going to make getting any kind of traction rough. They're still sitting down about 2,000 gold. They've gotten a little bit back now that they've grabbed a turret. And that kill by Tail is going to add a little bit of money on as well. Minute 20 to Dragons back up. First one went over to TBD. vVv, in this case, probably want to take a look at it, see if they can't get into the area. Last time, a little bit of contesting over the wall, but nothing really formal, nothing that's stuck. Going to hop forward onto Westrice. He's going to soak that up, but Tails is there, and Westrice still going to go. Broken Shard coming in. Robert X. Lee going to help, and Westrice grabs his second of the game. 5-1, the kill count overall.
Didn't really actually extend their lead by much. It's 2.3k. I believe they're out to a 2.5k lead. Arthalon trying to turn this around on Porpoise.
Ooh, Porpoise pops just enough range there. Gets snuggled in trouble as Broken Shard's looking for a kill. He's going to have to ward jump out. Gonshu in with the EQ is going to land. Broken Shard flashing. He's got friends, and they'll call it back on the vVv side, and they'll go on Gonshu. Gonshu in trouble. Can he get out? Long way to good. Can't do it. Q's going to land, but the stun will be good. Gives Cheese Beluga one. Turret gonna fall. Top outer goes to Arthalon. Gets snuggled running low. Robert X. Lee just needs one more. Can't get it.
And meanwhile, top turret, they get it. Sending Porpoise Pops back. The entire time, Arthalon's just beating on that turret, going for this tier 2 now. And Cheese Beluga's trying to rotate.
Arthalon going to Porpoise Pops, who would probably rather spend his time in the jungle. Arthalon over the wall. Onto a Cheese Beluga. Gonna catch a slow. No way out of this one. Maybe. Get a little stun in, and he's going to keep on running. Buys time for a mid-outer pickup, though, so life for an outer turret. Not a bad trade whatsoever, but still putting more money on to Cheesed Beluga, who's going to be a threatening guy. If he can get in, blow up pretty much anybody, it's going to be worth a trip to the back line for him. But again, Westrice on the field, and a very, very solid Akali player is probably still an understatement. He's sitting 2-1-1. Looking very, very similar right there, except right now, Westrice has managed to pull out the CS lead, as there's just been no farming for Cheese Beluga. He's been harassed or been having to farm up against Arthalon and been having a rough time of it.
Yep, and there's about a 4k gold lead now for TBD. Lubadub clearing out some wards using the sweeping lens. Looks like nobody on vVv decided to bring that to the table, so they're not going to have that vision denial. And we look over at Westrice once again, and you were talking about how Akali's such a great answer to Kassadin. It's also a really great answer to Ezreal, because if he uses his Arcane Shift away, you immediately Shadow Dance onto him, and then if he flashes, Shadow Dance again. There's no way he can get away from you.
Yeah, Gonshu is going to have to be his absolute shadow throughout this fight, so that he can drop the stun on Westrice in case of emergency. Otherwise, like you said, if he Arcane Shifts away, now he might be out of range for immediate help, and that might be just long enough, especially now that Hextech Gunblade is done to live through a single round of Westrice skills.
And it looks like everybody just going for buffs right now. Arthalon clearing out the top lane, and Tails sending up a true-shot barrage. In this game, I don't know how it's going to pan out. There's a 4k gold lead, 3.14. This really isn't indicative of anything at this point. 14 minutes in, usually we'd see games closed out by something like the 26-minute mark previously in 3.13. But the new average game time has been substantially increased.
Yeah, we're well over 30 minutes. Even on games where there's a 15,000 gold lead inside of 20 minutes, I mean, we've seen turnarounds happen.
Closing games is really the hard part now. Cheese Beluga once again going for Arthalon.
Gonna roll up to him, puts a slowdown. Tail's not in there to add on damage, and Cheese Beluga gonna keep the chase going, flashes forward, and finally has to give it up as he runs out of friendly territory to hang out in. Very nearly gets Arthalon again, though. Showing that Cheese Beluga's still a threat if he can get those cooldowns. Porpoise pops in, gonna take a couple shots off of old Roberto there. Westrice down bottom with good snuggle to play the hugs game.
And just
So we're ready to start it up. He wants to have a hugs party.
And just little tiny things about the intricacies of these characters are whenever Riven uses a charge of Broken Wings, it gives a little bit of a charge to Cheese Beluga for his Force Pulse. That's why he's able to use it twice there, pretty much back to back. Jumps in, Force Pulses, Riven uses Broken Wings 3 times, he pops his W. Cheese Beluga is like, alright, Rift Walk, another Force Pulse coming up. So it's a lot of damage, and I believe he's actually maxing that first. It is, yeah, classic Kassadin right there.
His ult going to be sent up top, more or less clears the wave to get it pushing vVv's way, but Arthalon will be in there to clear things back. So we've got about 3 minutes to Dragon, both the TBD so far, and that's allowed them to hold on to a 4K gold lead. Still, you know, we've seen really tenacious play. The changes to the way sieging up works has made it very, very hard once you get into the base to actually continue to march on in.
Yeah. And so TBD's kind of reversed the roles here from the top and the mid laner. Arthalon's now the split pusher. He bought a Tiamat. He's going for the Ravenous Hydra. He's just going to continue to wave clear. And Westrice is the roaming assassin now. So he's basically what the mid laner should be. Then Arthalon's what the top laner typically is in the meta. But, you know, switching it up, Westrice coming down to get snuggled.
Get snuggled a little low on health. Got enough to deal with Westrice. Going to put him in the Shroud. Going to continue to hop there. He's going to have to pop the ult, and he'll go dual style. Westrice thinks he's got it. Doesn't. Has to back it on out. Just ran out of cooldowns there.
Flashes away from that one. And yeah, gets snuggled. Has no escape mechanism, so he has to run away, and he popped his barrier. So that was what was saving him there. Westrice think he thought he had enough damage, or that his life was in danger. Didn't want to be in the middle of his W the entire time. Arthalon hanging out in the top for Cheese Beluga.
It'll be a fun fight as Arthalon, he's going to recall. Never mind. Cheese Beluga been getting the better of Arthalon's Riven.
I think he's really just waiting for it. I don't think he's going to recall in this type of situation because they have... Oh, bip.
Ward drops, he pops out and gets him to Rift Walk away.
Cheese Beluga's like, something's not right.
He's like, I mean, that's the worst possible case, right? You drop a ward. I guess at least there was only one champion in the bush. Otherwise, that would have really been horrifying. You drop that ward, it's 2 in the bush, you're just like, oh god, no.
Yeah, have Rift Walk, have your finger over that R, and just be ready to get out of there. Opposite direction immediately.
Quieted down now. It's pretty standard for the mid game, as even with a 4K gold lead, they're having trouble finding a solid way to push in on TBD.
Yeah, all the outer turrets are down for vVv, so TBD's looking for places to push, but they have to keep this jungle warded. And there's a lot of ward coverage from vVv in their own jungle, so they aren't going to get invaded on. There's not going to be any cheeky rotations here from Westrice and Arthalon alongside Broken Shards. But I think what vVv is doing is they're like, we have to basically turtle up, farm, contest dragons when we can, and try to get back to even in this game. So they're looking for warding these little corners so Bubdub can't come in with a flash Tibbers, because that's really going to put them in a terrible situation. That's going to be the worst possible engagement for them.
Yeah, team fight would just be a really, really rough one. Arthalon not super running away with it, but he is at 142 CS, matching Roberto X Lee. All that time spent on lane there beside Cheese Beluga has gotten him into good shape gold-wise. Sitting 1-1-1 on the kill death assist counter. But I gotta say, it has become a game of secondary objectives here. They're going to drop wards in and get ready to go on Dragon. We've seen... Baron, there you go. Brain turned off for a second there. We've seen Baron be the swing point of no less than 3 games this weekend.
Yeah. Oh, the steals, people just giving them up. And they're very, very hard to contest now because pink wards are completely visible. And then team gets in there, they establish themselves, they throw down their own pink ward, and they're like, all right, we're clearing all of this area around. And then we don't see a lot of those blue trinkets coming out. The scrying orb. And that would really save people from having these sneaky Barons. If somebody picks that up in the late game and just pops it onto Baron when they think it's going to come, we don't see a lot of that play.
Yeah, we see the scanner come in so that they can clear away wards. But yeah, it feels like you could afford it. It'd be interesting to see as the season goes on. I mean, obviously this is a dynamic that's going to evolve not only with patches, but as well with just players getting used to working within this patch and deciding what works the best, what is going to be a very, very useful thing to carry along with them. Trinkets are free, you can swap them out. And, not a bad idea. We'll see. That's the one thing I'm the most interested about is how are we going to see things adapt? Obviously, right now, very early into 3.14, so the long closeout times could be one of those things that diminish as well as people figure out how to work the system completely and what's going to be the most efficient way to push and move around the map.
Yeah, and there's going to be some changes as well. You know, it's still preseason, so everything's being reworked. When Season 3 was in preseason, there were just really unbalanced things. And get snuggled. Having to run away again. Once again, not bringing Flash, so using his sadism to get that extra movement speed and out of there.
You know, your free ghost with a lower cooldown and the heal on top of it.
And just lots of numbers.
Yeah, which is great. That's the most fun. Seeing the numbers pop up. Anything where big bunch of numbers pop up, that's fun. That's the best skill to use. Yeah, they should make all skills pop a bunch of numbers up. It's one of the reasons I like Lulu, because you got like 4 damage sources. You get a bunch of numbers popping up.
You just hit somebody with picks and it's...
Boop, 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 6-9. Yeah.
They're tiny, but they add up.
It's more about the number popping up. It makes me feel like I'm contributing. Dude, that's not necessarily true. Tails going to do a little poke in. TBD swarming around bottom inner. They give vVv time to set up on it, and still not confident about a push in spite of the fact that they're up 5,000 gold now. Increase that lead by 1,000, picking up another dragon. 3 turrets to 1, 21-25 in, and it's 6 kills to 3. Good times right now. Gold leaders for the game going to all be sitting on the TBD side, which, you know, makes sense. Again, not a high kill game, but a very even spread. Once again, it's one of those things I love to harp on. The even spread on the gold, I feel like that's always the best. You got, 3 kills all on Tails. It's not going to be great because you need everybody to be in good shape. Arthalon going to make a move in. Gonchu's there with the stun. They're going to drop one back and go for it. Can't finish the job. Lucian's going to spin the ult. Tails will be run a little bit low. Porpoise Pop's coming in as they're trying to run a little defense on the side. Broken Shard will make it away. Dub comes in, and Westrice too late to the party. Would have been super useful there. Now looks like he may just end up dead. Yes, he is. Porpoise Pop's going to grab that one.
He's late, but he still had an invite. Oh, they accommodated him.
He was the guest of honor almost there. The only one going down in that fight.
That's the guy who walks in and goes, "Hey, what's going on?" and gets swarmed.
Really rough time for TBD here, as they're almost assuredly going to have to give up a turret.
So that's very, very favorable for vVv right now. Ooh, True Shot Barrage, not going to connect there. And they're probably going to get a turret off of this. The bottom turret, we're going to have get snuggled in the middle, pushing that one. And they might be able to even up the turret count very, very shortly.
Yeah, really close there. Arthalon going to make it back in time, however. He'll clear the lane away. Bottom outer does fall. Mid outer prime to go. Down to a 3,500 gold game on the back of a nice fight for vVv there. TBD just a little too wide spread. Put a lot into trying to pick up Godshoe, and that's just going to be a rough thing to do in general. Not to mention with those tanky items in play.
Yeah, it's that whole cost-benefit analysis thing, where if you're going after support and you lose your top laner and you don't even get him, it's absolutely terrible. Even if you had picked up the support player, what really would have come of it? They were trying to set up something where they couldn't be counter-engaged on once Westrice had gotten there, because if they had taken out Leona is their main engagement source here alongside Vi, but ooh, Godshoe.
Going to slow it down. They don't have a bunch of damage here. Porpoise Pop's going to come in. They'll catch the stun onto both of them, and Porpoise Pop's going to get things cracking. Westrice going to make it to this party just in time. Going to try and finish off Bubba, but Cheese Beluga comes in and grabs one. TBD with another sloppy fight. Broken Shard could fall here. Arthalon comes in. Westrice doing what he can to Godshoe at the backside, but Cheese Beluga going to pick up one more. Arthalon trying to finish the job. Lucian in late. Out goes Westrice. Porpoise Pop's running low. Arthalon running low. True Shot Barrage flies through and gets nobody. Cheese Beluga triple kill. Robert X. Lee on the run. Can he get away? True Shot Barrage already spent. So nothing long range going to come in, but vVv with a big team fight win there. TBD just uncoordinated here and a little too greedy for kills.
Man, that baby Beluga's all grown up right now. Cheese Beluga, he's doing so well. A triple kill on the back of Caston. 5-1 and 2. They're going to get another turret here. They're probably going to even up the gold. And that teleport in, fantastic. I was talking about how Godshoe and Porpoise Pops, Vi and Leona are their main source of engagement, and then Cheese Beluga was able to follow up with a perfectly timed TP. They were able to lock up members of TBD and keep them there long enough for the TP to go all the way through. Cheese Beluga going around the fight, flashing fantastic rift walks right onto people, using it as an offensive damage skill instead of just a mobility tool. So huge props to him.
Gold over time just precipitously falling off here. We're talking about the last couple of minutes, a give back of 4,000 gold. Dragon going to come up. Nobody here to contest for vVv. The TBD with a little bit of a give back, but they're going to be in very close. vVv with a strong front line. We saw this yesterday. vVv versus COG. They had a very strong front line.
In late game, it's really about those tanks, I believe, because everybody starts getting some tanky items on them in the late game. And if you are just an assassin-based team and you aren't able to pick somebody off with high mobility, or Tails is staying way in the back and you can't reach him, you have to deal with the Mundo, you have to deal with the Leona. So you have to cleave through that front line, and if they're at least a decent amount tanky, it's going to take way too long with somebody like Kassadin trying to do damage to you.
And that has been really, I mean, by and large, the story of this one. They haven't been able to organize a strong team fight. So they've got an assassin team. They're not all together, and it's really allowing Porpoise Pops to come in and run that front against 2 or 3. And they need to be fully strong. I mean, Westrice has now been their major team fights as far as TBD needed to win something there, but really fairly widespread. Huge major team fight at the bottom. A little bit of just a pick in the jungle when they got too greedy on Godshu without really any damage in the fight for TBD, and vVv was able to capitalize on him. Westrice not at 2 of those fights and is a huge source of damage right now. Roberto X Lee also very late to that fight. It's just something that they can't allow to keep happening. TBD got to organize and get themselves ready for proper fights with vVv so that they can get the people they need.
Yeah, and Cheese Beluga just finished his Archangel staff into the Seraph's Embrace now, so he's going to have some defensive utility alongside his kit. Kassadin is just such a beast. When he even gets going just a tiny bit, he'll start snowballing, and with the TP, he's going to have a lot of map presence and a lot of map pressure. So now, TBD is looking for something. They have less towers now. They're down in the tower count. They're up in the dragon count 4-0, and that's what's keeping them in this. But vVv, they just seem to have the better team fight right now.
You're going to land on the Godshu, and mercifully they won't go in on it. Porpoise Pop's going to end out well out of sorts, but Godshu drops a big stun. Big Bubba stun, however. Westrice going to get Kassadin off the field. Porpoise Pops can't make it through. Lucian grabs one, and they're going to get the double. Continuing to run here, TBD on the chase. Can't catch anybody as Godshu and Tails escape into enemy jungle. They've got time. What are they going to look?
Probably Baron.
Grab is where they're running. Porpoise Pops off the field. The front line is gone. Cheese Beluga, the biggest threat they're going to have to deal with. True Shot Barrage is in play. There is no vision in the Baron pit.
And what ended up happening there, I said that it looked like the superior team fight was in vVv. Porpoise Pops goes a little deep, and then when he uses his Vault Breaker to knock both people he had locked up backwards and out of the actual solar flare from Godshu, so they weren't locked up. We see Bubba come over the wall, saving his team. Flash Tibbers right on top of Cheese Beluga, who Rift Walked in for damage, which is pretty much his MO this entire game, is to use the Rift Walk as an offensive spell instead of mobility. Goes straight in, ends up getting locked up. Arthalon jumps on top of where the Tibbers came in. Full Broken Wings rotation with a Key Blast. Fantastic play there, follow-up. Bubba really setting that play up, in my opinion.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that was a crucial Bubba stun. In my mind, I was just prepping to call that one for vVv. Then Bubba came over the wall with the biggest Tib stun that you're ever going to see. Really turned that one around for TBD. They already had Roberto X Lee on the run. He was the primary target. Godshu even in spite of the fact that they weren't full lockdowns, got a really nice ult in that would have allowed Cheese Beluga and Tails to capitalize. I mean, just a couple more seconds there and Tails would have been launching off that True Shot Barrage. Instead, he has to go on the run because Bubba dropped a big old stun on that front line, and they got everybody wiped out there. Get Snuggle, Porpoise Pops, and Cheese Beluga. The cost of that one for vVv, they get nobody out of it and end up having to lose a Baron there. Now down 6,000 gold.
Look at that vision coverage around the Baron. It's there's at least 5 wards, 6 wards around that pit. They really wanted the vision of that, and right now they totally see the movement from vVv. And TBD is actually going to just rotate to the bottom because they see that vVv is not even in the vicinity.
Turret is going to be done. Not much to be done about that. And to press on to the inhibitor turret here. If they can get all 3 of them down, they'll have enough base pressure to actually keep vVv in, but that's been such a big change here. You get a single lane pushing super minions, and it's just a little bit of extra spring cleaning for you. Otherwise, doesn't really mean too much. Especially with the shorter respawn. Zyrene is dead. I'm getting word. So we're going to have him replaced with a robot. You have to go? What's going on? Okay, Zyrene.
Wow.
There we go. I was concerned about. I was checking to make sure he hadn't typed anything. So apologies for the downtime there, but he's back.
Oh, I'm sorry about that. Yeah, so no, Westrice finished his Zhonya's Hourglass, and that's going to allow him to jump straight in with Shadow Dash, and then he's going to be able to pop his Zhonya's. Yeah, you were talking about lower respawn timers. I'm sorry about that one.
I know, I was like, that was a tailor-made throw to Zyrene there.
I know.
He died. Oh, he's dead.
Just some mic difficulties.
It'll happen.
Not about that.
Another Q, broken shard. Threatening. He's going to safeguard over. Trying to save the minion. A valiant play.
Man, you lob the ball underhand to me, and I don't even swing. It looks like
GetZyreneFire.com.
Yep, it's the real URL.
Nothing I can do.
It's getting there.
TBD looking for positioning here, but the counter siege a little too strong and huge lane push top. We saw this happen to Quantic in 2 games running, basically. They just gave over a lot of turrets. They're going to tank up mid-inner. Arthalon comes over the wall. TBD going to look for a big fight here. Gets snuggled at the front. It's going to take some serious hurt, but makes it through. Ruben off the field. Tails can't get out. Kali going to get him there. Westrice, Zonya's up. Can he come back out of it and make some plays? Lee Sin picks up one. Another one for Westrice. He makes it through. Cheese Beluga gets one over the wall. Broken Shard, not happy with it though. Gonshu's still up. They've still got some turret damage here. Roberto X Lee's still on. Cheese Beluga going to have to go on the run. Wanted to play a little bit longer, but can't do it. Again, big lines pushing here for blue.
Yeah, they have all these minion waves coming in, but TBD is in their base. They need to actually clear these minions out, possibly get a turret, but it looks like they're just going to go for the dragon. And what set up that fight was the rotation, the tower pressure they had on that mid-inner turret from Westrice. He was going to take that down. vVv's like, all right, we're going to rotate. They choose to go up the side of their base, not inside of their base. And Arthalon catches them out with a fantastic Ki Blast and a lot of pressure through Broken Wings.
Minion's got top inner prime to go. Just a couple hundred health left on that one. 5th dragon of the game now. Going to go over to TBD. 10,000 gold the lead, but not so you'd know it. They're just having a rough time dealing with this counter siege. Got themselves, I mean, a very tricky fight there. I got to say, started off picking up mid-inner, knowing vVv was going to swing over. Arthalon started off basically at the cost of his life, but it ended up spinning very, very nicely there, as that one, I believe, ran in the long run 4 for 1.
Yeah, it did. They actually, it was 2 for 1. They picked up Arthalon and Westrice, because he got him over the wall at the end. Cheese Beluga did.
That's right.
And right now, Tails actually stole the blue buff with his True Shot Barrage, because it was like 20 seconds ago. Threw it across the map, and I believe Robert was doing the blue buff. Tails is like, nope, I'm going to just throw this out there, and picks it up. So, Ezreal, those are, especially if they're blind. Those are the best. You're kind of like, oh, I got a blue buff, and yeah.
Tails actually fairly close on that Baron attempt with the True Shot Barrage. Long range, and just about a second. Maybe a little bit less, and he might have been able to snipe that one out from underneath TBD.
Yeah, and vVv was really close. It was really close. And if they had gotten that, then they would definitely be in the lead back when the game was closer. But now it's a 9k gold lead for TBD. Once again, in the lead, able to overcome a couple team fights and take it. And Cheese Beluga look for Robert.
Roberto X Lee, he's got a long way to run to get out. Not going to be able to do it. Just going a little too strong. Rest of the team wasn't quite there. Big pick for vVv is going to buy him some precious time.
And Baron up in 50. Robert down for 40. So he'll be up. He'll be able to jog over there in time for it if somebody starts it up. But vVv trying to make some ward dominance happen in this area. When Mundo gets snuggled, now having a sweeping lens himself.
But I'm going to head on home. And TBD just hanging out in the area. I know they've got 30 seconds until that Baron and don't want to be too far out. They've got ward right on top of vVv here.
And they never, like, when you're standing on top of a ward and you're trying to set something up like that, the sweeping lens, you have to use it just because. Because if they can see you right now, it's just the worst possible position. So
Gotchu could burn his, but doesn't.
It's about to time out anyway. Is Broken Shark going to stop it?
Stops the back, and they're going to look for a pick on the Porpoise Pops. If they can get it, that'll be absolutely huge. Cheese Beluga still over the wall. He's going to get the Q in. True Shot Barrage isn't there. Gonna try and get a save out of Porpoise Pops here. Cheese Beluga comes over the wall. Big stop by Godshoe there. Arthalon now in. Broken Shard running low at the backside of the fight. It is his job basically to stay alive here. Arthalon gonna go down. 2 for 2 now as Porpoise Pops falls. Big get there by West Rice. He's in the middle of the pile with nowhere to go. He's gonna zone use by a little bit of time. Roberto X Lee out to the far side. Can't quite get away. The Ignite burns him down. Broken Shard off the field. Still 3 strong on vVv. Will they have enough to try it on, though? Looks like they may.
They could do the Baron, but it would just be a toss-up right now. They don't have Smite available to them. Yeah, and they're still Lucian alive. And we've seen Lucian steal objectives in the past. I'm not sure. Are they going to try to just bait him into it, and Cheese Beluga will try to take it off himself? Still has some
low. He is playing to that side. Tails as well coming in. They just want to get the poke down. Roberto actually going to go too low to continue this fight, but that Baron's going mighty slow. They've got Bubba Up back up now. We're going to send the ult in and try to get snuggled down. Baron run low. Can't get it. Baron going to go over to vVv. Godshoe back in. Bubba Up drops a stun. Godshoe drops another one. And that's a quick double kill on the back of a Baron grab. vVv right back in it.
Wow, back to the 4K. 9K back to 4K. This gold graph probably looks like a bunch of mountains right now.
Mountains.
Yep. Okay, it could be mountains. Just like started off really high.
Everest they're making right now.
Looks like some plateaus out in like New Mexico.
Yeah, buttes.
Yeah.
I like buttes.
Yeah, at least we don't see any sharp increases back and forth across that middle line. That would just mean the game is completely even. Nobody wants to see that, right?
No, sir. No, I want come from behind play only. That's all I want. If they ever get ahead, I'm rooting for the other side.
So that game where Cog beat Complexity, you're rooting for Cog the entire time because even when they won, they were 2K down.
Fine. That was the only game I've been able to just root for one team the whole way through. But again, it's one of those, the comebacks can swing both ways. What's good for the goose, etc., gander.
How it goes.
Platitude. But right now, I mean, it's going to be time for vVv to feel the pain of the siege. They're maybe going to be able to get their first dragon of the game. Nope, 46-45 on that one. Nope. A little bit early.
0-5 on dragons for vVv, so it's definitely been in control for TBD, and everybody's down by the bottom lane except for Porpoise Pop, so if something breaks out in the next 10 seconds, he's not going to be there.
Gonna work on this blue buff. Everybody grouping for TBD. It's a really crucial team fight right now for TBD. If they lose this team fight, they have to give up too much for it. Then they could find themselves having irreparable damage done after getting out to a really strong... we made it up to 9K and then a little bit extra.
Yeah, if they lose a team fight right here, vVv will get this turret, they'll get the next one, and then they'll probably fall back to the dragon. They might be able to do an inhibitor, but I don't think they'd be able to close the game out in the time that we have death timers at right now. 38 minutes in. Not a whole bunch of pushing power on the side of vVv. It's really just Ezreal using his attack speed increase. Some people get snuggled. Could have a little bit of extra boost there, but that's really it. And if we look at Get Snuggled build, he has a lot of armor.
Dragon gonna finally go over to vVv for once. The 6th of the game, the first for vVv, and they're down to a 2,000 gold game, and with Baron buff spinning, gonna give them a nice little advantage over TBD, and they've been winning team fights as it is. It really took a perfect Bubba Dub ult to get TBD through a nice little team fight there. In that case, it was just vVv. I don't even want to call that a bait. More like vVv turned around to defend after they went on to Porpoise Pops, went for a big pick onto him, and it just turned into a bit too long of a run in the jungle. Gonna be able to pop that Banshee's Veil. Tails gets a Mystic shot through. Top end are gonna fall as they're just leaving Cheese Beluga to his own devices.
Yeah, he's got teleport, so they have to send somebody up there to deal with him, and as soon as they do, he could possibly teleport. They're going to send Arthalon. Arthalon has a GA. He's a key player in these fights, and he can actually stop the teleport from Cheese Beluga from coming out with this Key Blast. He's actually going to back
get
up.
2 turrets now.
The split push, even gold, neck and neck now.
6 turrets to 5, as there's still top inner standing in favor of vVv. All the inner turrets gone now for TBD as they're trying to hold on. Such an important game for both teams here. TBD Really need this one, as it's basically going to put him in a lock.
Well, it's also very important for them because, oh, not just vVv and TBD, it's also important for Quantic. Because if vVv
Yes.
wins both games, it's still possible for Quantic to be in the running.
Yeah, I mean, vVv need this one bad, and Quantic does as well.
Yeah.
Tails, spinning the
Biggest-
Guardian Angel.
Ooh, she's Beluga.
Yukalo's going up top. Cheese Beluga running low there. Westrice still at full health. Cheese Beluga might not make it through this one. That's queuing the startup from TBD here to run it on down. Bubba Dub going to take a lot of damage off of Tails. Cheese Beluga goes on the run. He's forced out.
Westrice was out of Shadow Dash charges there. Cheese Beluga using his flash for one of them, using a Rift Walk for one, and using Rift Walk to get over a wall for another, and just out of there. So he's going to be able to go back. Not a huge loss there, because nobody ended up dying, but he doesn't get to keep the pressure up, and Westrice gets to go ahead and push this lane out.
Shows how crucial the Cheese Beluga component was to hanging out and really sticking that bottom turret siege up. They're going to run out of Baron buff now and get back out onto the world is going on. So
Oh, they found you,
huge
Wombat.
fire apparently somewhere near here. That was like, I thought the world was burning down for a second there. Minute 50 left on the clock, and it's going to be just a couple hundred gold lead right now for TBD. It's really going to come down to a team fight that has been a coin flip the entire time.
Yeah, and Cheese Beluga's actually been a huge part of this. He's at full build already. 11, 2, and 3, 315 CS. He's like third highest in the game in terms of CS. He's got the most kills, and they're having him split push. But what was just shown there is that Westrice can deal with him, and that's bad. Because usually when you split push, you want to cause more than one person to have to deal with you, but Westrice is able to 1v1 him and basically have no response to that.
And again, this is one of those things that I always like to harp on, is the money stacking. There's a little bit of money, spread around the rest of the team, but the bulk of the gold here is going to be on Cheesed Beluga. If he falls out, then he's going to be in trouble. And you can see there, Ezreal keeping pace pretty nicely. He's got obviously one major defensive item built in already, so he's going to be able to do 2 go-rounds. And with a huge tanky front line like that, a nice little purchase. But, Cheese Beluga going to be sitting on a lot of that money, 11, 2, and 3. It's going to mean that, Porpoise Pops maybe not quite so deadly. Ganshu has been a huge part of it, though. I mean, just really nice timing, good skill cycling by vVv there.
Yeah, and both supports have been key players in this. Bubba Dub, extremely offensive, but also at the same time, it's counter-offensiveness. Because when we saw Cheese Beluga going in, he would immediately stun him and set up his team for fantastic fights. And that's really what Ganshu's been doing as well. Long-range solar flares. I think he's missed maybe one, and that's it. But that was because of Porpoise Pops. Otherwise, he's been spot on in Tails. Going offensive.
Sends up the True Shot Barrage, doesn't do much for it. Blue buff gonna get worked down, and Cheese Beluga will go over the wall and grab it. Nope, gonna give it to Porpoise Pops.
Yeah.
Or did that go to Tails? They're both spinning one. I won't check the timers.
Tails.
Went to Tails.
It went to Tails. Porpoise Pops is almost out.
Dead even gold. For a second there. Now it's 300 gold for TBD.
How did that happen?
It was right there.
The rate
There we go.
can.
Now it'll be even. Wait for it. Oh, they skipped right over. They skipped right over 69.8. Nope. Oh, they're killing me. Forget it.
Getting none of that.
Done.
Baron's live. Cheese Beluga down bottom, deciding that's the wave he's going to push. Westrice going to be the answer to that one. You're going to have to push that out.
And he's going to go ahead and recall.
I wonder
Westrice
what he's
is there,
recalling for. He can't buy. Okay. He's just recalling to cover himself. Make sure Westrice wasn't coming at him from the left. And as soon as he saw Westrice, he canceled it. It's like, why is he backing? It's not like he's going to buy an item.
And then drops his ward. So, got the coverage he so desperately wanted. See how that fight goes. Westrice going to start it up. Cheese Beluga. I don't think he's going to make it out of this one. I'm a believer.
Nope.
But it just didn't happen. Westrice, so dangerous right now. Huge damage off the field right now for vVv, and that's a cue for TBD to get in there and get going. Ganshu's still going to be a huge force here. Tails has spent the True Shot Barrage. He's not going to be able to drop that AoE damage down. He's going to be very single target. Westrice coming in from the side now. Porpoise Pop's still up and could angle for a steal. Bubba Dub and Arthalon both going to leave the area. Make sure that he can't get in close, and Westrice doing a beautiful triangle of pain right there put up around vVv to make sure that Baron gets secured. Very nicely played by TBD there, sending 2 out of the pit to make sure vVv can't get in close.
And this is what I was talking about with Cheese Beluga versus West Rice. Cheese Beluga, most fed member in the game, still can't handle the Akali at all. He didn't even have a response there, didn't even scrape West Rice's skin. And he just blows up Cheese Beluga.
Looking sharp with a Q and a God Shoe. They'll finish off the final inner turret. Then a back and forth game. A lot of dragon control out of TBD and a lot of early turrets, but some big picks for vVv caused him trouble. Tails off to the side, doing what poking he can. Porpoise pops and gets snuggled at the front. Cheese Beluga's back up, and TBD going to pay him the respect of backing it away as ult's going to come through. A lot of that will get tanked out.
West Rice off on the side, looking for a pinch.
Able to slide in here. He's going to hop to the back. Cheese Beluga going to be pushed out of this fight at the start. They're going to lock up West Rice as long as they can. Zonius gets in good. Cheese Beluga running low, goes back in the fight, gets snuggled low as well. Gonshu at the front. Going to get nobody for that one. Arthalon still hasn't spun it. West Rice back. He's going to be forced to recall, but takes Cheese Beluga too low for vVv to answer.
Wow, that was a fantastic engagement there by TBD. Nothing comes from it from either side. And the flash came out from West Rice to save his life. But we did also see the sweeping lens be used there. They're the Oracle lens, I guess is what it is now because it's been upgraded, to actually reveal West Rice. So when he comes in with the Twilight Shroud, all you do is just throw that down on top of it and it will reveal Kali. So he had to blow his own Zonias to even stay alive.
Good fights though. I mean, just the fact that everybody comes away empty there, showing you how close this game is. If they pull Cheese Beluga off the field, and I mean, you can see it in the reaction from vVv, get snuggled Porpoise Pops and Gonshu turning. Gonshu being the one that ends up running the front more or less, but Porpoise Pops immediately to the back. You know, it's like, okay, we know he's going to go on Cheese Beluga. We got to do something about West Rice. They spent everything they had, but the Zonias was there. And he managed to make it through. Just showing you the importance of those two, especially Cheese Beluga. I mean, there's solid backup damage that's going to come out from Arthalon and Roberto X Lee there. As far as vVv goes, if Cheese Beluga's off the field, Tails just is not going to have the output for them to sustain a fight.
Yeah, but even though Tails has the exact same build as Robert, except for the GA has been substituted for a Banshees, I do feel like Robert does more damage in just full-on trades here. Tails, you know, he's got to kind of skitter outside the outlines and just shoot every now and then, but I feel like Robert has a little bit of an advantage here, despite the fact that Tails has a front line. That's something else as well. And West Rice, it's important to note that he's been destroying Cheese Beluga, and he's only been at 5 items. Cheese Beluga's been at 6. He just now picked up a Sheen on West Rice, and that might be a Lich Bane, might be a Trinity Force. Both are pretty decent on Akali. I would assume since he's got it. just throw that one out there. Just throw that one out there. Put it in there. It's possible.
Add a little slow onto it. Make sure nobody can get away.
Yeah. It's possible. I mean, I've seen weirder things, but it would still work. It'd be a choice. He would want to choose consciously that he wants to lock everybody up, stop them from getting away, and
not
allow
really a lot
the
of attack damage to worry about those. So I mean, very, very likely it's going to be
yeah, I would assume it's Lich Bane because he's got.
You want that
Rabadons.
extra damage because that's just whoa.
Yeah,
that's whoa.
Trinity Force. It's really, you could go either right now since Trinity Force is just so strong, but he does have a lot of AP in his pocket.
Yeah, I mean that would just really, if you want, because that's the thing. He's a round of 3 spells is almost taking care of Cheese Beluga, and that might just be the tip. The addition of a Lich Bane.
Just the Zonia's Hourglass would be used. Of course, West Rice could always pop his own if he's being assaulted, and then wait for Cheese Beluga to come out of his and just completely annihilate him or finish the combo. Yeah,
the Lich Bane charge doesn't go nowhere. It'll wait around for you. At least through a Zonia's. Gonshu gonna clear things away on the front. 2,000 unspent gold right now on West Rice, so he's working towards something. Saving up.
Yeah, he has to. Full inventory, sitting on the Sheen. Trinity Force is gonna be a bit more than that, and Lich Bane is right around that area. He's backing right now. And he picks up the Lich Bane. There you go. Yep.
I mean, it's any backliner is gonna have to take a nap. If West Rice gets to him. Banshee's Veil on 3. Arthalon running the Guardian Angel right now as TBD. All they're worried about is Cheese Beluga. I mean, that's what that build's saying. They're very worried about him, but that's all they're worried about. They're like, if we can make it through one shot of Cheese Beluga, then the second one's not going to hit quite so hard. We're probably going to be able to make it through. Because the front line damage is fairly minimal, and Leona's not going to be doing anything super crazy. Mundo's fairly annoying, but not that bad. Porpoise Pops, he's building very, very tanky. I mean, he does the percent damage, but it takes a couple shots to get in there. Doesn't really have much doing on the attack speed. So he's not going to be quite that scary. It's Cheese Beluga and Tails, and TBD more than ready for it.
Yeah, and Broken Shard is the only frontliner that really TBD has. He's built full tank here, no offensive items. He's leaving that to West Rice and to Arthalon. And this is a great thing about this team composition from them is that one of them's physical damage, the other one's pure magic damage. So you have to build multiple resistances to actually deal with them. Because Get Snuggled, he's basically armor right now. He's just got the Spirit Visage. Now he's building a second item out of the Null, or I guess the Negatron Cloak. And West Rice can still do a lot of damage to him, and might have an engage here very, very shortly. Pincer maneuver.
Not going to land. vVv being forced to take a very awkward look there. West Rice coming into the fight now. Cheese Beluga's off at the far side. He's going to rip walk over to Broken Shards, and he is going to meet West Rice. Porpoise Pop's going to drop the old Godshoe, tries to follow one up. Godshoe out of the fight. West Rice still in very good shape. Porpoise Pop's going to spin. Cheese Beluga at the back. Arthalon doing the work. Can't get the job done. Arthalon going to run low. He'll spin. Porpoise Pop's down and out. Cheese Beluga looking for one on the far side. Can't get it. West Rice is there. 4 for 1.
And Tails is out to the side, but he can't really do a whole lot. Ezreal's late game is rather iffy, especially since he's probably the second. He is the second main damage dealer on his team. Whereas if you look over at the team of TBD, they have 3 main damage dealers here. And Annie, look at his build. He's got a Void Staff. He's got a lot of penetration, and Annie's base damage is extremely high already.
You could see that drop just doing some good damage there. I mean, it was one of the things that forced Cheese Beluga to really reconnoiter. West Rice looking at Tails. Oh, can't quite get him with the Roberto X Lee. Old Arthalon going to go in onto the Nexus turrets. They've got time here. Godshoe going to be up in 6, but no damage out on the field, save for Tails for quite a while now. TBD, they're going to do it here.
Yeah. Man, West Rice damage is so disgusting. He has over 600 bonus on the Lichbane only. So that is so much on top of all of his damage abilities. We just saw him almost blow up Tails there. He was very pivotal in those fights and able to duel Cheese Beluga, so he shut down the split push strategy.
vVv Gaming going to go 1-3. To be determined, going to join Cognitive on that hallowed ground of sitting 3-1. With 3 games left to play in the day, we're going to see how it goes. Got a great one coming up next. You guys stay tuned.